and welcome to this new episode of The Table. I'm Mary Ellen and today I'm surrounded by some wonderful wise women. Shona, Melody and Rachel, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking to Debbie O'Connor, CEO of Creative Fringe, who has some ingenious ways to reduce our plastic waste, and that's always a good thing. We're also going to be talking about the familiar stress of children's birthday parties and what's been called the crisis of touch. Oh my goodness. People are getting wary when it comes to offering a hug these days. But first up, and this is a tough one, should you let your kids play with toy guns? Talk us through it, Shona.
Oh, me? This was an interesting article. We read a couple of articles about whether children should have guns or not. And I'm a bit torn between it because, as you know, I've brought up a few boys. And they'll find anything to be a gun when they're about 4. I remember walking outside at one stage and there was a clothes peg being shot around like a gun.
Oh my goodness.
But as a Christian, I struggle with it, letting my kids play with guns. And I did actually ask the boys yesterday, how did they feel about me saying, no, they couldn't have guns? And they said when they were little, they felt like I was being mean. But now that they're older, they understand why I said it.
You would say don't play with guns, or you tell them to stop making any object into a gun?
I would. Initially, it was don't play with guns. But as they got a bit older, I could explain to them why.
But is it an issue of playing with guns, or is it an issue of violent playing, like wrestling and stuff like that? Because a gun is quite an obvious, you shoot someone and you kill someone, but even wrestling and fighting, that's violent as well. Do we tell them to stop doing that as well?
I feel like boys need to have that bit of rough housing and that bit of rough play and, that kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And Jacinta Tynan, in the Daily Telegraph, the article that we read, she was expressing her confusion over this because she was worried that maybe if she was banning guns, that it was interrupting her boy's development naturally.
I struggle with that concept.
But natural development, as though guns grow out of the ground.
Well, I guess an ability to express themselves, develop confidence, develop resilience.
There's other ways of doing that than handing them a plastic gun. Yeah,
but
my boys don't have any problems with that, and they didn't have plastic guns. But there was another part that she said, well, anything can become a weapon, and that's true. Cars and
water pistols
and knives and stakes and all sorts of things. I think we need to build resilient children, but we also need to have those conversations about what our violence and the object is not the killer, it's what's inside of you.
Exactly. Well, that's also another issue because video games as well. And toy guns, that's the least of your worries when you have video games that are high definition, violence, blood going everywhere. It's very...
I did some research about this, this violence, playing and stuff, and a lot of the experts actually say it's really not what they play with. Yes, there is some influence for sure, but you need to watch the kid as well.
Yes.
What's the intent?
Yes.
Whether they are highly obsessed with violent stuff.
Yeah, what's in their heart?
Yeah.
But where does that come from? Because it was interesting. They said that even kids, no matter what kind of background or no matter what they were exposed to, that they were saying boys were making guns out of things. But where do you get exposed to the idea of a gun?
Well, exactly.
Other kids.
Yeah.
From other kids.
It was when my kids went to preschool. That's when they got the whole gun
Don't say that
fascination.
to me, Shona. Don't say that.
Yeah. So, in summary, ladies, Shona, do you have any advice for Rachel and Melody? Because they've got young boys at the moment, and I'm sure you're going to be facing this issue fairly soon.
Oh, look, I think it comes back, go with your child. If your child has that tendency to be a bit violent and rough, have that conversation.
Yeah, well, what do you think? Are guns a natural part of your child's development, or do they do more harm than good? Let us know on Facebook. It could be, I guess, that maybe our kids just aren't active enough these days and have a lot of pent-up energy, which is a funny coincidence because up next we have Alicia in the studio to show us some fantastic exercises. So grab your kids, grab your workout gear, and let's go.
Hey there, it's Alicia, the Table's resident personal trainer, back with you. And we're in the studio with the girls talking about all kinds of things, exercise. And today what I wanted to show you or ask you about first is, have you seen this thing before?
Yeah, they're great to sit on.
They are great to sit on. It goes by 100 different names. Stability ball, fit ball, yoga ball, whatever you want to call it really. Have any of you used one before?
No, mine's in my backyard.
I've had one in the house for ages, but my girls just use it.
Okay.
I thought I was thinking it's more of a toy.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's probably a great toy, but it's actually also a really awesome exercise tool. I don't know if you can tell, but even just sitting on it, have you noticed that your core automatically has to work? So, yeah.
I actually was encouraged to use that to get the baby into position.
Awesome.
All my pregnancy,
Yes.
so I have been using
Yeah,
it.
great. Yeah, they're
And
so
that's the
good.
only time I get it out.
And it's actually good to even practice your pelvic floor exercises on it too, which is
Yeah,
great.
what?
That thing,
Does
the
that
pelvic
still
floor.
exist?
So what's really cool, is that this is straight away, as soon as you do any exercise with the stability ball, your core has to automatically call in all its stabilising muscles, and they're usually muscles that you're not going to get worked by just doing, more stable exercises, hence why it's called stability ball. It also is really good for back, so building up back strength, because back and core work together. And also for injuries. So if you've got injuries, this can just be a really good, gentle prop that you can use for. So like, for example, sitting, if you've got any leg problems, you can do your arm workout sitting on a stability ball, things like that. So it's really cool. So I just want to show you a couple of exercises that Rach is going to demonstrate that you can do with them, and there's so many of these. First of all, I want you to, Rach, come over in the middle here, and I want you to just sit on the ball and then kind of...
You can do these exercises when you're pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Throughout
Some
your
of
whole
them...
pregnancy, or?
Some of them that we'll do today I would not recommend. So for example, the plank after probably first trimester, you don't want to be planking anymore because the weight obviously is going to bear down. However, the seated crunch is going to be okay early in pregnancy for sure. So if you kind of sit forward so that the ball kind of comes along your back just a little, and then from there, just lean back a little bit. And then...
Oh, I'm feeling that one.
You're not even doing it.
That's right. So you can feel that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. All right, if you
Best
come
way to work out.
Come over this side of it now for me, and I'll show you how you can do a really good back extension exercise. So you kind of want to lean forward on it. I'll let you do that. And once you've sort of got, come a bit more forward, so it's almost like your pelvis is...
To it, I think.
There we go, there we go. Now, all you need to do from here is, if you're balanced, and you can do it from your knees too if you need, is I want you to basically arch your back up. And straight away, you're going to be working through your back stabilizers, which is really good. And it kind of, does it feel nice?
I feel like I'm slipping, like my feet are slipping. Yeah.
Okay, maybe take them a little bit wider.
I don't need the ball at this stage.
And another
I
good
don't know
way,
that's a good idea for you.
another good way is if you had your feet up against a wall doing it, you won't feel like you're going to move, which is really good. Yep. And then the last one.
That's for lower back.
Lower back, exactly. Back extensions. The last one is.
That could go all over the place, though.
Not-
Like you lose balance.
Well, this is the point.
Right.
Is that it's about trying to build that balance and that stability. So yeah, you want to make sure you're doing it safely, of course. But yeah, feet against a wall, that can be really good. Last one is just if you put your arms on like a plank. How much harder? Just tell me from like a normal plank is that?
It's like, it's like you're doing
100 times harder. Yeah. So in all of those exercises, they're difficult. They're way more difficult with the ball. So if you want to just work on building up that strength, that core stability ball is the way to go. So there you go, another tip from us. We hope you join us next time. Bye.
Master abs I have now.
I was going to say, have you kept it up?
Well, is physical touch one of your love languages? Are you famous among your friends for giving good hugs? Well, if you're looking for a fun job, perhaps you should consider becoming a professional cuddler. Yep, you heard correctly. Professional cuddlers are soothing touch-deprived individuals in Australia, Europe, and the USA. But have we become so out of touch with our fellow human beings that we actually need to pay someone to hug us? Rachel, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm definitely not signing up for that job. And from Shona's face, I can see she's...
My world's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it touch or paying someone to cuddle you?
Being paid to cuddle a stranger, nah.
Yeah. But I guess like the more underlying issue is that, we're kind of in a touch deficit society, right? Where
It's
starved
actually,
of it.
you know what I found really interesting is that the professional cuddlers, right, are in Europe, in Australia, in America, which is all, Western.
Developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, for me, it's like, well,
It may be that in the other countries,
Touch me.
they don't have
Yeah.
the luxury of thinking about such things, that they're cuddle or touch deprived. But maybe we are in a society who, even like simple touches like that, we're not even doing that anymore.
Well, like in schools and things, teachers are afraid to touch their children in case parents complain, and in childcare centres they have these huge policies about not being able to pick up children.
I struggle with that because I teach scripture in schools, and I have these little girls who come up and grab you and want to hug you, and like I'm not a very touchy huggy person anyway, and I'm sort of like, okay, enough, time to get back to class.
Really? Even when the little kids are hugging you?
Yeah, they come up, and like, I think it's because they can feel that energy of don't hug teacher Shona.
Yeah.
They run up to me.
I'm curious though, are you actually legally not allowed to hug back? Or?
I actually don't know what the stance is, but I tend not to, because I know when I did teacher training, they say, don't be too physical with the children. So, yeah, I'm like, no, don't touch.
But I wonder, interestingly enough, if we think about kids and how much they want to touch and cuddle, what happens when we then flip that switch and then everyone's like, don't touch me, but then deep down inside, we do still want that sense of community.
Well, it's true, because like there is a study from a few years ago where they looked at babies in orphanages who actually don't get touched, right? And they don't thrive or develop as well as babies who get that. So I do understand that there is a need for some form of physical touch, but
and they tell you with preemie babies, because Joshua was in the preemie unit, that you actually need to physically touch them with your hands and get them onto your skin as soon as you can. So we do need touch, but for some of us, it's not a very natural.
It's not our love language, is it?
I think sometimes we've over-sexualized touch. We've made it
We've
that
become too vigilant about it. It's a really sad thing in society. I think maybe we just need to kind of tone it back a little bit and just remember to hug our loved ones. Well, if this discussion means anything, it certainly serves as a reminder to be more intentional about showing your kids and spouse and friends some love. And that is exactly what Catherine Stahl was encouraging her daughter to do when she forked out an extra, get this, $500 for her daughter's birthday party, just so that none of her classmates would feel left out. She wrote about this on the Essential Kids website. Melody, do you think this was a necessary thing to do, or are there other ways to teach your child, like inclusion and things like that?
Because I'm cheap? Yes. There are other ways. I'm pretty sure there are better ways to teach children inclusion. And I don't know, I don't really get this whole birthday parties thing. I really don't understand it. I mean, birthdays have never been a big deal for me, so maybe I'm not the right person to ask, because I didn't grow up with birthday parties. Oh, poor deprived, no, I did have one, but I didn't feel like I missed out. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
I think if parents can fork out the $500, it might sound like a lot to us, but maybe for someone else, it might be the equivalent of our, $50. And if that's the lesson that she wanted to teach, because so many kids are sad that they don't get invited to things.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have any of you ladies, like your kids or yourselves, ever not been invited and felt really left out?
We don't know. We don't know if we were invited.
We don't know if we've been invited.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because when I was in school, it would be very obvious if you weren't invited, because all the invitations would go out into everyone's lockers, and then you wouldn't get one, and you think, oh, this is the worst.
See, some of the schools have now even banned that sort of stuff, that you're not allowed to hand invitations out at school. You're not allowed to hand out Christmas cards at school because it's not inclusive if somebody gets left out. So, I don't know. We need to build more resilient kids.
So do you think we should be passing out those invitations no matter if, 5 kids out of the class of 20 get them or not? To build resilience?
We have email. Why can't you just email the parents?
Facebook events or something, yeah.
And say, come over to my place for a party. I mean, I love throwing parties, so I'm always
Did your boys always have parties?
Yes. Still do.
But did you always invite the whole class, or was it just their friends?
They just invited, they wrote the list out, and that's who we invited.
Because I guess the thing is, you can't be expected to love everyone and be friends with everyone.
You do school friends, church friends, karate friends, and all the other friends, it's massive.
It gets expensive. I do agree with you that I think kids should be able to develop that type of resilience, and we should teach our kids to deal with every situation in life. It shouldn't be that you're 20 years old and you're just now realizing that you're not getting invited to a party for the first time. Because your parents have shielded you from it your entire life.
Yeah.
That happens. You don't get invited to everything. So,
do you think, taking a more kind of spiritual aspect, that something as trivial as a birthday party is a way that we can really show inclusion and love and that welcoming atmosphere as Christians? Or do you think it's not that important, it's just a birthday party?
Actually, what you said is actually quite interesting. It's not just about the party that you show inclusion. It's general life. I mean, if you, in general, just are mean to this person and exclude them and don't even say hi, then really
Doesn't say much about you, does it?
inviting them to a birthday party isn't going to
gonna-
make you friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it seems that this is yet another layer of complexity added to the chaos of children's birthday parties. So to help us all de-stress, we've got Gia and Olive in the kitchen cooking up some chickpea rosini. Something for your child's next party, perhaps. Or maybe just some comfort food for you. Check it out.
Howdy, this is our Greek risoni recipe. We've got Shona here, Olive Litza and me. And the reason we've got Shona here is because she's a foodie and this is a dish.
I have never cooked with risoni.
Ever. Okay.
Never ever.
Oh, risoni is like a rice pasta. So it's
Look,
like
it
the
looks
shape of
like-
a rice, but it's pasta. It's like made
And
by...
it's flat.
Yeah, it's very, very tasty. I'm so excited for you. Okay, so try this, okay? So we're putting 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
Yeah.
I personally don't like cooking with too much oil, like you already know, but you cannot have a Greek recipe without olive oil, so...
What about a bit of butter?
Oh, you know what? She's evil. Yeah, we're trying to do a healthier version. But having said that, if I was living in Greece and cooking and my auntie saw me put 2 tablespoons, she'd be like, what are you doing? Put the half a cup in there. Put a 1 cup in there. That's what they do, seriously. They're like, add more oil. And it's like, it tastes amazing because when you dip that Greek bread in it.
Look, it doesn't matter what culture. My Celanese mother-in-law would do exactly the same
Would
if she
she?
saw me cooking and I put a skimpy little bit of
Would
oil.
she put,
Oh, yes,
so what
more,
oil do
more.
they cook with?
Peanut oils.
Peanut
and-
oils.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rice bran.
This is a very simple recipe. It's one you can make in 10-15 minutes for your family.
We've got 1 onion
One onion.
frying away in there beautifully.
Awesome. And we'll put the carrots. 2 cups of carrots, a cup of carrots, however many you want in there. We'll just put it, maybe a cup in there. Actually, Shona cut this. She's so good. Look how well she cut it. So just so that it can cook easier, so that you've got a quick recipe there. Actually, I got this recipe from the Greek vegan. She's a woman in America who is a Greek vegan. Hold on, you know what? People don't realise when people think of Greeks, they think of lamb. And when you actually go to Greece, most of the food, traditional food, is vegetarian.
So how much is in here?
That's 2 cups.
2 cups.
Okay, so put 2 cups in there.
Done.
And now fry it off. Okay, so add 2 teaspoons of salt. Yeah. Or 1 teaspoon. Actually, that was 1.5 probably, or 1. Yeah, so if you want to use vegetable stock, either make your own vegetable stock, and the way you do that is whatever leftover vegetables you have, when you're cutting veggies, just put them in the freezer, and then once a week, boil them up and make your own stock. Easy. So we'll put the stock in. That's 6 cups of stock. We've got 2 bottles of it here. And there's another. So 6 cups to 2 cups of risoni, because this is going to soak up all the liquid.
So again, like a pasta.
It'll absorb it, yeah.
Yep.
And that is just oregano or mixed European type herbs. So we've got like marjoram, thyme. This is the special ingredient. Shona, do you know what this is? It's thyme.
Thyme, which I don't never have enough of.
Oh, this thing just really, the flavour of it cooked in this is awesome. Makes it taste.
Awesome.
It tastes so good. Don't pay me out. Cheeky. You.
So you need to pull it off the stalk? You can't
No,
just
you can just
bung
put
it
the
in?
stalks in there, yeah.
All
But
right.
I like to take some off as well.
And then what else is in here?
That's chickpeas,
Chickpeas.
which you could just put in now if you
That's a
want.
can?
Yeah, 1 can.
So you want it in now?
Yep.
Sure?
Yeah, just throw it in.
Positive?
It doesn't matter. You can do it now or later. It doesn't
We'll
really
do it
matter.
now. Because I like one pot wonders.
So all you do now is you just keep cooking until it soaks up. Stir it occasionally until it soaks up all the liquid, and then it becomes really thick, pastery.
Interesting.
It's like a Greek risotto. Like, you know,
Yeah, that's what I would
risottos-
call it.
How long do you reckon it's been cooking for?
Oh, I reckon about 15 minutes.
Yeah, around 15 minutes.
5. I bet more
No.
than 5.
It's been cooking for 15 minutes. See what's happened? It's absorbed the liquid, and that is easier than Italian risotto.
Yeah, look, I couldn't cook risotto, but
That is so
that
easy.
looks so delicious.
And look, you put some thyme on top. And some people want to, like in Greece, they would probably have like chicken through it or something. For winter coming up, it's such a good way to have something hearty, warm. The kids love it. And you can have some I don't know if you want
I was going to ask, what would you put on the side of that? Because my teenage boys would go, is that it?
Well, in Greece, they would have like a salad, they would have some feta, some olives, and they would be dipping that bread. So, yep, there you go, Greek risoni. Try it. By the end of today, that will absorb all the rest of that liquid because that just keeps expanding. Are you going to try it?
I will.
Good.
That looks so delicious and so healthy. Now, if you're keen to look after your health and to encourage your family to do the same, this little book is packed with great information on how you can avoid lifestyle diseases and increase your chances of living a long and healthy life. It's called UTurn and it's absolutely free for you today. All we need is your name, your postal address and the name of the book, UTurn. You can send us those details via email at hello@thetabletv.com or on the phone, call 1300 300 389 in Australia, and if you're in New Zealand, the number is 0800 694 673. Now, joining us in the studio is Debbie O'Connor. She's the CEO of White River Design here in Sydney, the brains behind the Creative Fringe, a co-working space for collaborating entrepreneurs, and founder of the Plastic Fantastic Challenge. Debbie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
No worries. Now, it seems like you've got your hands in a lot of different projects, but I'm most interested in this Plastic Fantastic Challenge. Do you mind just talking us through what that is?
Yeah, look, I think plastic bags have become a pesky problem in society today, and they land up in our waterways, they land up in landfill, they don't biodegrade very well. And so what we've tried to do is come up with a creative solution that can help not only our environment, but also a social problem, which is homelessness as well.
Wow, so how have you gone about doing that?
So what we've done is we've found a way that we can cut plastic bags up and we can turn them into plan, which is...
Sorry, you turn them into what?
Plan, which is plastic yarn.
Okay.
Yes. Wow. And once you've got plan, we can then use this like you would wool.
So how do you do that? How do you turn it into yarn?
So we actually use crochet hooks and we crochet them into mats.
Wow.
So this is an example of one of the sleeping mats that's been made by one of our volunteers.
It's quite large. That is...
Yeah. So it's quite large.
And it's
quite
soft.
So it means that if somebody is sleeping rough, if they are sleeping on this, it's a bit of a better night's sleep. It's not a, it's
better
not a
than
solution.
cardboard boxes or something.
And it's water resistant because it's plastic.
That's exactly right.
It would be cold resistant too, wouldn't it?
Yes, so the insulation side of it is really good. It doesn't turn to mush like a cardboard box would if it gets wet, and it's very mobile. So they can pretty much roll it up and take it wherever they need to go.
So can anyone do this? Can anyone do this from their home or?
Absolutely. So we have got people doing all different parts of the challenge. Some of them are collecting their plastic bags, cutting them up and turning them into plan, which they then donate to us or to someone who might then be able to crochet. And then if they can crochet, then they actually make the mats themselves.
How many plastic bags does it take to make one like that?
About 700.
Wow.
700 in this one mat?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the impact on the environment is significant.
That's huge, isn't it? 700 bags out of the environment with every mat.
That's exactly
Wow.
right.
And how long does it take?
So, look, it depends on your skill set. I had no idea how to crochet at all.
That would be me.
That's my mat.
Hey, that's pretty
Mine
good.
is a lot tighter, a very different type of stitch, I guess, to
And are
what
there
this
more
one
mats?
is.
Are there more mats in this one since it's a tighter stitch?
Yeah, so they're about 800 bags in that
Wow.
one.
Okay.
And that took me a couple of months. But the lady who did this one, Jen, was amazing. She's actually done 2, and she's been able to produce 2 in about 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know how much time she's been spending on it, but yeah, she's been able to do that as well as make blankets for the homeless as well. Wow.
Now, you were telling us a lovely story about a young girl who went to school. Can you tell us again that story?
Absolutely. Jessica. She saw her mother cutting up plastic bags and asked her what was going on. And her mum said, well, look, the Creative Fringe is putting together this Plastic Fantastic Challenge, and so we're turning these plastic bags into mats. And she thought it was such a wonderful idea, but she's quite a shy girl. And so she went to her head teacher and said, look, could I encourage people to bring their plastic bags in? So she stood up on
on stage in front of the whole school, and people started bringing in their plastic bags, and her poor mother, Melissa, was sitting at home cutting these things up and eventually had to say, look, Jess, you're going to have to get back up on stage and tell everybody that's enough now. And between the two of them, they were able to donate a box full of plant, which would make up an entire mat, so 700 bags.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Can I ask where the idea actually came from? Because I've never seen this done before, but it's so genius.
Yeah, look, I'm from South Africa, and in South Africa, this is done by the locals a lot, turning plastic bags into different things. So they might be mats that are non-slip mats to go in the bath or the shower.
You see those in Asia a lot.
That's exactly right. But the idea actually came about as part of our Think Outside the Square challenge, which was a knitting challenge for making 20 by 20 centimetre squares into blankets. And while we were sitting all sewing these squares together, one of the ladies there said, what if we were to do something like these mats? And that's when I looked into it and decided that's a really good challenge to have.
Wow. So what kind of reaction have you had from, have you actually been giving them out? Like, who does that?
So what we've been doing is collecting all the plant, getting people to make the mats. We've done a few workshops, and the idea is to donate these on the 1st of June, so get in for winter, to Mama Lana's Community Foundation, which is one of our local foundations that supports the homeless. But if anyone's getting involved, they can donate it to any community service group that might be doing this.
Now, it just sounds like there is a strong focus that you have on actually helping the homeless people, you know, with your blankets and with your mat. Why is that so?
Look, I think, you know, when we're lucky enough to have a roof over our head, we get to get into a warm bed at night. A lot of people that are homeless are not there because they want to be. A lot of it is, you know, mental health issues. And so to try and make somebody's life just a little bit easier from a community point of view, I think is a really important thing for us to do.
So if people want to get involved, where can we find you?
So the Creative Fringe, we have a Facebook page. We also have on our website, we've got an entire page dedicated to the challenge where people can make plant, they can make mats, and just get involved. Do something good for the community, good for the environment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, I really want to teach myself how to crochet now. I'm going to be going to your website and learning how to do this because it's such an awesome idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we'll have to check that out. And if you'd like to get involved, head on over to thecreativefringe.com.au to find out more. You know, we can all be doing something to make less of an impact, whether that's using less plastic bags, knitting these mats, or even just giving our loved ones a hug. If you like what you've seen in today's episode, please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube and continue the conversation there. Until next time, God bless you, and thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
And there's always a place for you at the table. See you next time.